Welcome to Royal Family Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Dispossessed Kenyans demand compensation ahead of King Charles's visit. Fed and BoE set interest rates and oil majors report. Josh Frydenberg spotted at his new side gig. Dispossessed Kenyans demand compensation ahead of King Charles's visit. Reuters. King Charles's visit to Kenya this week will acknowledge painful aspects of the UK and Kenya's shared history. The British ruled for over 6 decades before Kenya won independence in 1963. A UN report in 2021 said gross human rights violations were committed by the British colonial rule, including unlawful killings and land expropriation. Buckingham Palace has not addressed the Kipsigis and Talais allegations, but the British government has previously expressed regret for abuses committed during a 1952-1960 uprising in central Kenya against colonial rule. The British government has not been receptive in the past to requests by the Kipsigis and Talais to discuss compensation. Fed and BoE set interest rates and oil majors report. Financial Times. The Federal Reserve and Bank of England are both expected to keep interest rates steady when they announce their decisions on Wednesday and Thursday respectively. The Bank of England is likely to maintain current rates due to high inflation and a fragile economy, while the Federal Reserve is cautious due to a range of uncertainties. On Tuesday, BP reports its earnings and Shell reports on Thursday, with BP expected to have been affected by weaker energy prices. Apple also reports on Thursday, with a focus on potential issues with overheating following the launch of the iPhone 13 in September. Car manufacturers Stellantis, Fiat, Peugeot, and Citroën also report this week, with Stellantis having been hit by strikes from the United Auto Workers Union. Josh Frydenberg spotted at his new side gig. The Sydney Morning Herald. Former Australian Treasurer and would-be Prime Minister Josh Frydenberg was spotted selling second-hand goods at a market with his family over the weekend. Frydenberg, who was recently appointed chairman of Goldman Sachs Australia, said the proceeds from his market stall would go to charity. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the sixth dimension, here to bring you the latest news and insights from around the world. Today, we have a mix of stories that range from historical grievances to economic updates, and even a glimpse into the personal life of a prominent figure. Let's dive in. First up, we have the dispossessed Kenyans demanding compensation ahead of King Charles's visit. As Kenya prepares to welcome the British monarch, many Kenyans are raising their voices and seeking redress for the injustices committed during the colonial era. The UN report in 2021 shed light on the gross human rights violations, including unlawful killings and land expropriation, carried out by the British during their rule. While Buckingham Palace has not directly addressed these allegations, the British government has expressed regret for past abuses. However, compensation discussions have been met with resistance in the past. It will be interesting to see how this issue unfolds and whether it will be addressed during the visit. Moving on, we have the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England setting interest rates, along with major oil companies reporting their earnings. Both central banks are expected to keep interest rates steady, but for different reasons. The Bank of England is likely to maintain current rates due to high inflation and a fragile economy. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve is being cautious in the face of various uncertainties. On the corporate front, BP and Shell will be reporting their earnings, with BP potentially being impacted by weaker energy prices. Apple will also be in the spotlight, as investors keep a close eye on potential overheating issues with the iPhone 13. And let's not forget the car manufacturers, Stellantis, Fiat, Peugeot, and Citroën, who will be reporting as well, with Stellantis facing challenges due to strikes from the United Auto Workers Union. It's a busy week for the financial and energy sectors. Lastly, we have a light-hearted story about former Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg. Despite his new role as the chairman of Goldman Sachs Australia, Frydenberg was spotted selling second-hand goods at a market with his family. It's refreshing to see a prominent figure engaging in a humble activity and giving back to charity. It reminds us that no matter how high up the ladder we climb, we should never forget the importance of community and helping others. That's all for today's news roundup, my fellow interdimensional travelers. Remember, history, economics, and personal anecdotes are all interconnected in the grand tapestry of life. As we witness the demand for justice in Kenya, monetary policy decisions, and the small acts of kindness, it is essential to stay informed and engage in meaningful discussions. So, what are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or insights to share? The floor is yours. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6 Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.